So I'm going to weigh in on a speedrunning YouTuber getting sued by a 1980s video game player because it's very funny. There is Karl Jobst, who is a speedrunning YouTuber, which I do not care about. People say he used to have bad political opinions, which he's a white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Australian man. Yes, he has horrible political opinions. Yes, of course he does. This guy wants the Shire to be free of lebs. Everyone fucking knows it. You take one look at him and you know that. Anyway, so apart from that thing, I think people are like not giving this guy enough grace of what happened to him. To be clear, the fact that there's this much drama about like a 60-year-old man who files tons of lawsuits against people who accuse him of cheating and like a in-person Donkey Kong console to get the high score in like the 90s and early 2000s is very fucking bizarre. The fact that like there was this one physically existing arcade in the USA, like Twin Galaxies, where people from the USA went to play in person to try and get the high score of Donkey Kong and then claim they were the Donkey Kong world champion is bizarre in of itself. And that someone like Billy Mitchell could base their identity off that, let alone even consider cheating to win that, is insanity. But anyway, so that guy has like a reputation for suing people who accuse him of cheating, and I vaguely knew of this lawsuit, and I assume because the Karl Jobst guy did mostly frame the lawsuit as being him getting sued for accusing Billy Mitchell of cheating, which he would have won clearly because everyone thinks that Billy Mitchell's the cheater already. But it wasn't about that actually. Apparently, it was about him accusing Billy Mitchell of suing another YouTuber for a lot of money, which then led to that, or contributed to that YouTuber killing himself. And the judge in the case ruled that that wasn't true. But I mean, a lot of people have been shitting on this guy for not making it clear that that was what the case was actually about, the defamation case was actually about. But I want to be clear that there's no fucking way that you can read the ruling and what the judge said about the case and not be like, okay, this is kind of fucking weird, man. The judge needed to explain to him like what Reddit was and stuff like that. The judge didn't know about anything relevant to this. He said in his ruling like, Karl Jobst went on a crusade against Billy Mitchell and he was trying to show his audience that he is the knight who slew the Mitchell dragon. It's like, when I read something like that, it's like, okay, this judge fucking hates this guy. Why does one judge have the sole ruling over this? This judge has no idea what's going on, and you cannot read that and not be like, okay, this guy clearly had some form of bias against the defendant here. Like, this is just weird. It's a weird thing to say in like a serious ruling on a defamation case that you had the sole discretion to rule on. And it's like, okay, so maybe there should be a panel of judges here instead of one. Maybe there should be a jury. I see that and I'm just like, I can't help but feel sympathetic to the guy that he got this fucking guy on his case. Clearly someone who favored the plaintiff. There's no way you can say in a civil case to say something like that. Like, you were trying to slay the dragon and it seems you to be a bit of more than you could chew, child. What? Like he's fucking like giving a speech himself as if he's like a part of the trial, like a showman rather than the fucking judge. But there was a part of the case which I am too lazy to bring up now that I found interesting, which is that the guy who Billy Mitchell was accused of helping to hound him to suicide, some guy named Apollo Legend who I do not know anything about and I do not want to know anything about, so don't tell me, that Billy Mitchell did, as a matter of fact, take real legal action against, and he did, as a matter of fact, make this guy or get this guy to sign like an agreement with him to delete all of his videos regarding Billy Mitchell and to stop making any videos that mention Billy Mitchell or Billy Mitchell's family ever again. And if he did, he would have to pay $25,000 for every offense. The problem is that Karl Jobst claimed Billy Mitchell made Apollo Legend pay him a sizable sum, and that contributed to his suicide. But technically, Billy Mitchell did not actually make the guy pay him any money, because rather what he did is he threatened the guy legally, and the guy caved and agreed to delete all of his videos and to never talk about him again under the threat of having to pay a fine. To me, that's not really meaningfully different. To me, it's like, dude, that's fucking pathetic, because I assume, though I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Apollo Legend guy was making videos about Billy Mitchell being a cheater, which is basically established as fact. So what happened here is a YouTuber made videos calling Billy Mitchell a cheater. Billy Mitchell then filed legal cases against that guy to try and silence him and get him to delete his videos where he called him a cheater. Karl Jobst, or however the fuck you pronounce his name, I don't give a shit. I don't even know what language that is. And other people in his sphere assumed that this legal settlement involved Apollo Legend paying money to Billy Mitchell and that this caused him financial difficulties that contributed to his suicide. I think that is a fair assumption to make. It's really not that far away from the truth. And I mean, I don't know, I just don't think that this should something that should really count as defamation. Like, I feel like it should be a matter of opinion, because obviously, yeah, you can speculate as to why someone killed themselves. It's not something that you're ever going to know for sure. And I don't think it should be something you can litigate to be like, I think this contributed to his suicide. The part that Karl Jobst got wrong, which was the idea that he had to pay a lot of money, that's really not that big of a deal, because the fact of the matter is this guy probably was extremely fucking stressed because he was getting legally threatened action by this guy for accusing him of cheating. That in of itself is close enough to the truth that I feel like saying that it contributed to the guy's suicide is probably warranted. I think people are skewering Karl Jobst or Jobst, or however the fuck you say it, really unfairly here. Because yes, he did not say that this was the main part of the lawsuit, but he also possibly had valid legal reasons not to say that. And I think he's not really that much in the wrong for it to be like literally defamation. He did fuck up in stating it as if it was factual. I think he should have speculated a bit more, like Billy Mitchell's legal actions probably had some contributing factor to the guy's suicide, which how would they not? How would like a bunch of shit compounding all at the same time, including you having to lead a bunch of your videos unfairly in which you accuse someone of being a cheater, someone who more than likely factually is a cheater, and they threatened you like with having to pay money if you ever slipped and talked about them again. That is straight up like suing, like using your money to sue someone poorer than you into silence when they are in the right. And whether or not they're like to say, in my opinion, I think that probably contributed or was a contributing factor in this guy's suicide. That's not fucking defamation. He might have been wrong in saying that he did have to pay a big payout to Billy Mitchell, but nonetheless, that is not that far away from the truth that it should be like defamation. I don't know. So I think people are really unfairly skewering this guy. I think he's been skewered enough by this fucking weird ass geriatric judge who didn't even know what Reddit is and who like gave a speech in his judgment like he was rallying the fucking troops, the Billy Mitchell, the Mitchellmaniacs to his cause. Like, you thought that you could slay the Billy Mitchell dragon? Well, looks like you couldn't. Ho 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 ho! Like, what a fucking joke. I hope they appeal this. Though I don't know, it's Australia. Australia is famously a country where like defamation is very easy to litigate, even in situations like this where, you know, perhaps he was a bit wrong on the facts, but he wasn't that far away from having a valid opinion, which is that the legal threats by Billy Mitchell against this guy, which factually caused him to delete his videos on Billy Mitchell and thus made a lot of work that he did making those videos invalid at the very least, probably took a toll on him and, contributed to the mental breakdown that led to his suicide. That is opinion-based speculation that should be protected in any good country. God bless Argentina. Here I can say that. Like, if Karl Jobst is a shit person, he's a shit person for other things, not because of this. Not because of this. Stick to those other things if you hate him, not this. I don't think he deserves to be shit on as much as people are shitting on him for this. He's not as in the wrong as people are making it out to be.